Assalamu alaikum, everyone. You are now tuned to Shakil Co on America's Islamic Radio. Today's exciting interview is sponsored by JG Advisors, the Mugs and Bean Company, and Mohammed Dar from Westbury Toyota. Today, we have a very honored guest here today. He's a person who... I'm just going to let you introduce yourself, man. Go ahead and introduce
All
yourself.
right.
Have yours.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Mohammed Bahi. Uh, volunteer with Muslims Giving. Happy to be here. I'm pretty impressed in the vision behind this. Uh, America's Islamic Radio. Excited to be here.
Welcome, and how are you? How's your day?
Bad.
How's everything going for
All
you?
right. Good traffic
Alhamdulillah.
coming here.
Good
Like, that's New
So it is what it is. I'm going to get found.
yeah, like yeah.
Where it come from? What is...
Well, the Asiyah like women's forth. It's really just a safe place for sisters in need.
Okay.
Basically, in a nutshell, it is a shelter. But one thing in our community that's missing is a women's shelter that specializes and houses domestic violence victims. We do not have that at all in our communities. And domestic violence is part of our community. It's a taboo. No one talks about it. We kind of hide it under the rug, but it's very rampant in our communities. And throughout our experience, like in Muslims Giving Back, we have a masjid in Brooklyn, and we've been very active in the community doing various projects. We've noticed it's kind of the same pattern that it's always mothers escaping domestic violence victims and having nowhere to go. So we said we have to create a space for these sisters.
So how did this idea come about?
It came about at one point in our masjid became literally like a shelter. We had sisters like sleeping over there because number one, we used to put them in hotels many nights,
Okay.
a night here, 3 nights here. But in the end, it was always the same result in terms of we would have to take them to a shelter, a public shelter. I don't know if you've ever been or seen a New York City public shelter. This is why homeless would rather sleep outside in the streets than inside the shelter.
Wow.
Sometimes it's more safer outside than inside.
What are the conditions in those shelters?
It's horrific. Honestly, it's just like it's nonsense. It's craziness because you're sleeping next to a person next to you. You don't even know. There is no mental health screening. There's no physical screening or anything. You're a homeless. You're a person that needs a bed. Come on in. So imagine there's a woman's sister, a sister pregnant, whatever it is, with a hijab. Now she's in a room full of other people she has never seen before, and then she's a visible Muslim lady. There's a lot of discrimination and a lot of threats going on and so forth. So for us, at one point, it was always like every week, a sister, place to stay. I'm homeless. I need this. I need that. And I'm like, how don't we have nothing in our community to grab these mothers of ours and take them to a safe place? Nothing. We would just spend hundreds of dollars in hotels and Airbnbs. I'm like, this has to stop.
Especially since Islam honors women.
This is exactly that's the funniest thing. Like
Yeah.
the famous hadith we love to tell the non-Muslims, right? That the Prophet said that your mother comes 3 times before your father, right? Your mother, your mother, your mother, then your father. So 3 times the woman's status is above me and you as male figures, right? But it seems like it's opposite when it comes to our communities, the way we actually practice it today. So it got to the point where we said enough is enough. If the older generation don't want to do it, we have to step up. And
The
that's
youth has to step up.
Yeah, we have to.
Yep.
We're like you said, we're born here, we're educated here, we're getting married here, having children here. This is our country, this is our permanent place, and we have to establish our belief and turn it and manifest it into action. So we said we gotta create this place for them.
Mohammed, how old are you, by the way? If you don't mind me
I'm
asking?
34 years old.
Wow, you don't look it at all.
Yeah, right.
You look very young,
I
mashallah.
appreciate it. Thank you, brother.
So, what services does the Asiyah Women Shelter provide?
Right. So besides the basic, the most important really is a roof over their head, like a safe space, a clean space, a comfortable bed. I mean, of course, there's food, but there's a lot of social services as well. We help them out even with Metro cards, connect them to social services, public assistance, long-term housing, job assistance, and so forth. It's kind of a one-package deal. But right now, really, the way I see the Asiya Center, because it's just this tiny baby. It's a new concept,
Yep.
right?
When did you guys launch?
We launched literally, I think, July of last year. So
Mashallah.
we're just a couple of more months. And actually, in a couple of days, we're going to have our first baby inside the shelter.
MashaAllah.
There's a pregnant sister there, and she's about to give birth any day. So we're kind of excited for that. And she's been there since the inception of this idea. So she's been with us for a couple of months. So for us, it's just amazing. that there's a safe space even for our pregnant sisters. Um, just have a comfortable night to sleep.
Where is the shelter located?
It's located in Brooklyn, New
Where?
York.
Do you have an address?
It's around. No,
for our
we
viewers.
Yeah. Address we can't say because it's like a domestic violence,
Okay,
because we have to
okay.
keep it. But it's around the vicinity of like Bay Ridge,
Okay.
Sunset Park. So it's very close to the Muslim community. But it's pretty private. It's a private house. You cannot, from the outside, you can't tell it's a shelter. From the inside, you can't tell. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, living room, kitchen, and like, we have like the videos online, the pictures. It's really beautiful.
So if a woman who's watching this interview right now
Yes.
is listening to us, right, and she's going through domestic violence and she wants to reach out to the Asiyah Women's Shelter,
Yes.
how can they go about that?
The best way is through our Facebook page. Definitely, she could send out an email. We have send out a message. We have the email there as well. And alhamdulillah, we work very quick. We are limited in space, but we could house up to about 15 sisters and children as well. We currently have right now, since the inception of it, we had over 40 people staying. 40
Mashallah.
sisters and children included. Some would come for a couple of nights, some for a couple of weeks, some for a month or two. But there've been a lot of success stories where they transitioned to more permanent, long-term like housing. Because for us, like I said, we're just a band-aid on the problem.
On the whole problem.
Yeah, that's all we are. This is not some sort of, because it's a brand new concept, and but we said, listen, we have to do it.
Do you think there's enough being done for the women in our Islamic community?
Absolutely not.
How do you
think? Through my experience, like in charity work, the past 10 years, I've noticed 3 categories of people being neglected in our communities: the women, the youth, and the elderly. And definitely the women are on top, unfortunately. And there is really zero resources for them. Some of our mosques don't even have a women's space, unfortunately, let alone something like this for them. So in terms of Muslim women, definitely there is not enough resources at all.
That leads to my second question right now. We have all these mosques all around New York. These humongous mosques that cost millions and millions of dollars, right?
Yep.
How can they go about making something like this? Like, because the thing is, some people look at it like, hey, this is way too hard. This is too much responsibility. How much responsibility does come with this? How much work is it really? Can it be done?
Absolutely, it could be done. And that's funny that you asked that, because for years, I asked myself the same question. And I volunteered with numerous organizations, big and small. And that was one thing that made me start like my own organization, Muslims Giving Back. Because at one point, I'm like, we have these huge facilities, huge basketball courts and centers, but there's like nothing being done, nothing consistent. So I'm like, I'm not, and for me, I'm an active person. I like to be active. I like to give back. I like to help. And I was like, I can't just sit there and do something once a month for an hour or once a year. I'm like, you're not going to cause no impact. We're not going to change our community. And our community is sinking in America. Every community is advancing. From the Asian community, Black community, Latino, Jewish community, they're advancing. They're getting together. They're united, working together. But for the Muslim community, just growing up here in America, it's just different pockets. And there's like no communication between them. And I'm like, man, this really has to stop.
Do you think it's because it's all people are greedy and power hungry for themselves?
That's part of it, but I think it's just that cultural mentality. Like our parents that came here, they brought the same mentality to America. But they did a lot of hard work. It wasn't easy for them to build these huge facilities. So that I got to give it up to them. They sacrificed a lot, got a lot of money together, and built up these huge things. But now they need to understand that they have to pass that torch.
Yep.
To the people that grew up here, that understand the reality here, that speak the language, that know the culture, that know what's going on in the streets. So now it's kind of our turn to continue this work. They established it, they built the foundations, but now it's our turn to really maintain these facilities.
How do you think these people should give it to the youth? What ways? Let's say you're somebody who's 50, 60 years old, right?
Yeah.
You're stuck in your ways. I built this mosque. This is mine. It's the communities in a sense, right?
Yeah.
But these people they're very this is mine. This is mine. This is mine. How do you go about telling these guys that, hey, listen, you have to pass it up. You guys can oversee it, but it's a youth's turn.
Well, again, funny question, because that's exactly what we're going through ourselves right now in our mosque.
Wow.
It's always that. It's always that one individual that owns the building or the place or that board. And it's sad because, like, you have these young, energetic
the
youth.
boards.
Yeah, right, the boards. Be with those right? But it's sad though if you think about it, Brother Kevin, because like you have these young, like energetic community that want to donate their time for free. They want to donate their money, their resources, and all they're asking is just give us access.
Yep.
No one says put my name in a piece of paper.
No.
I want to be the president. No, they're just give us access to the
I
facility.
think that's the best part about our generation. We're not egocentric.
No.
We don't care about having our name out there. We just want to help.
That's it, and that's what it is. But I think from back then, it's the titles are a big thing in our community, right? I'm the founder of this, and I am the CEO of this and that. Because for them, I don't know what it is, maybe. But for us, it's like, okay, yeah, it's good if to build a title. That's not important. It's not a must. It's not. We still have no problem not to be on a photo, do the work, because we want to be able to feel good at the end of the day that know
Absolutely.
what, I'm producing, I'm giving back to my community. That's good enough for me.
So you just mentioned Muslims giving back.
Yes.
I see you guys are very active on Facebook.
Yes.
I've seen so many numerous posts on Facebook,
Yeah.
especially with one project that's very dear to me right now
Yeah.
about the domestic violence case.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, very dear to me. How does Muslims Giving Back work directly with the Asiyah Women's Shelter?
I mean, it's actually part of our organization. It's our project.
Wow. So
Yeah.
Asiyah Women's Shelter is under Muslims
Yes,
Giving Back.
but
MashaAllah.
but we wanted to give it its own identity, so kind of give it to the sisters to run it, right? Because it'll be kind of weird to have a bunch of male figures running,
Running a women's
a
shelter.
women's shelter.
Yeah.
So we said no, let's give it its own entity. And there's sisters there that are running it, like Sister Danya Darwish. She's the director of the Asiyah Women's Center, and she,
MashaAllah.
like I said, she literally lives with these sisters,
Wow.
like every week, volunteer, not even paid position. That's the thing about us Muslims Giving Back. We're all volunteers. None of
MashaAllah.
us get a salary or anything like that. But we're just trying to really fill holes where like there's nothing going on. We're not recreating the wheel, because if there was already a shelter like this for domestic violence, it would make no sense to create another one, right? Just join efforts, build
Joint
it up.
efforts.
But most of the projects we do, we just found out that there is really nothing going on, especially now after 9/11. It's very important for Muslims to come out publicly, right?
Yeah.
In a good way, to show
Of
people
course.
you want to know what Islam is about. I'll show it through action, right? So enough talking, more action.
I think that's the one of the issues Muslims community have, because the thing is that, let's say you're a Muslim, right?
Yeah.
And you need to help another Muslim. You do it, right? But you don't show other people.
Yeah.
You don't. I mean, there's that stigma where they're only helping each other. They're only helping each other. The thing is, I think that Muslims are supposed to be helping everybody.
Of course,
And
absolutely.
that's the stigma that we have, and as a Muslim community, we don't show it,
That's
and we
true.
don't come out publicly like, hey, we're doing this, we're giving this back, we're helping raise funds for this, we're doing this. We just keep it within our community. There's a saying that I've heard plenty of times, like, let's say you grab a Muslim person's phone, right? 90% of their contacts are all Muslim. You know what I mean? And only 10% is non-Muslims. I mean, that should change.
You're right.
We should have we're leaving a population out that
Especially we're growing up believing.
and we're living in America.
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
we're supposed to broaden out and show people what Islam really is.
Oh, we become our own obstacles in the end, because we confine ourselves into this little egg.
A small bubble.
Yeah. So you know what's funny? Excellent point you brought up, Brother Kevin, because I say that to myself every time, like especially in my community, right? Because we have a masjid too, MCC, Muslim Community Center.
Okay.
So I'm like, whatever, the director there. But I always say this to my community and the members there, that we can feel bad, or we can feel like victims when people are calling us certain names or attacking us, right? Because they don't know nothing about us, right?
Yep.
Ignorance leads to fear.
Yep.
So I said, whose fault really is it that these people are tuning in into Fox News and all of that, and they're being fed all this, nonsense about Islam, Islamophobia? But then they're like, you know what? Let me see what Muslims are about, and they're not seeing anything.
Yeah.
So
Because
silence is like consent.
They're confined in their bubble.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We get scared, like, oh, what is this non-Muslims coming in and this and that. So it's like, what do you think is going to happen in the end? Because if people don't know what Muslims are about, they're going to believe what it is.
Yep.
Right. But if you change one person's mind, let's say a good friend of you is a non-Muslim, he knows how you are as a Muslim, you're an honest person, you give back, you help anyone. Now, let's say your friend now goes out to dinner with his friends, and maybe one day they start trashing Islam or talking about Muslims. All Muslims are terrorists. And maybe that person will be like, well, not all of them, because my good friend Kevin, he's a good Muslim, man. He does this, he does that, he gives back, he helps anybody. It can be all of them. So that's now that one person who's not Muslim now is defending other Muslims. So I feel like that's how it should be for people, that if we want to show people what Islam is, let's do it through action. Let's invite them to our mosque, come inside. And that's how it is really in our community in Brooklyn. Like we have, we feed the homeless every week. We've been doing that for like 5 years.
Wow.
We have a weekly food pantry where our neighbors come inside our mosques, to the point where, believe it or not, true story, that we would just sometimes after Maghrib, one non-Muslim would just come in, go all the way in the back of the mosque, use the bathroom and come out. Be like, oh, we'll see you guys Friday. Normal. And
Wow.
I'm just like, wow, like this is, because they feel so comfortable.
But that's what a masjid is supposed to be.
Exactly.
It's the house of God.
There you
So
go, right?
everybody's welcome.
That's the thing. And like, if someone wants to be connected or get closer to God, then the mosque is a place they should go to. We can't tell them, hey, what are you doing here?
Yep.
Why are you coming inside this mosque? I'm like, excuse me, like, if this place is really supposed to connect us to God, then everyone should be welcome to
Yep.
explore and understand what it's about.
To learn what Islam really is.
Yeah, absolutely.
So going back to the shelter,
Yes.
because we
I
diverted,
know.
right? Going back to the shelter, what is the number one thing you need to help run the shelter?
I mean, it's basic, right? It's always the same thing. It's always finance. And I knew that was going to be the biggest problem when we started before, to be honest. Because like I said, it was really created out of desperation. Because it came to the point where we said we had sisters and their mothers like sleeping in our mosques. 1 week, 2 nights, and then it's like, okay, she can't stay in the mosque, so we have to go get them a hotel, spend $300 for 3 nights, sometimes Airbnb for a week or two. And it's got to the point where it's like, how long are we going to keep this up? So at that point, we said, listen, let's try to get people together. We got the community together, but it's been pretty rough. But right now, definitely is the financial aspect because it costs money in terms to pay the rent, the utilities, to feed these women every day, money for laundry, metro cards. We get them cell phones. So it's definitely costly. It's been like literally month by month.
So are you looking for like partnership with like local restaurants to help give you guys food on a daily basis?
Absolutely, and for me, we'll work with anyone because we are literally providing a safe space for our mothers, our daughters, our sisters. I mean, I'm married. Maybe my wife could be there one day. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe if I have a daughter, she grows up. Maybe one day she's gonna be. Maybe my own mother could be there.
Yeah.
So there, so like
You always
definitely.
have to look at all avenues. Because
Absolutely.
you never know who could end up there.
Absolutely. Like actually, just like 2 weeks ago, there's a restaurant in Brooklyn, Rosanna, and they reached out. They said they want to provide. So we're trying to set that up, like dinner for the clients, our members, every Friday and Saturday night at the shelter. And we told them, of course, support doesn't always have to come in financial.
Of course.
Right? It could come in other ways. Where people could. We have a group of sisters actually from Long Island as well. That they come once a month and bring like food, rice, oil, pastas, canned vegetables, and that's amazing because now we know once a month we have this large amount of stuff that's coming in. And we have other sisters that come once a week, sit down with the sisters. Sometimes they babysit them. Last week a sister took all the kids out to Chuck E. Cheese that live there because we have a couple of kids that live in the shelter, and that's so again it's just
tough.
I'm telling you, like it's kind of depressing that we even had to create this thing
Yep.
because people are like, oh, you should be proud, and I'm like, no, it's not. It's not a proud thing because this stuff like this should not even exist.
Yep.
Our whole religion is against this, 100%.
Against domestic violence, 100%. That's not in our religion at all.
No,
And I don't understand how this is happening in the community.
but it's just really rampant in our communities, and we're not providing no safe spaces for these for these mothers and these sisters to go to.
So for our viewers, you are not in the Shakil and Company on America Islamic Radio. We have Mohammed here talking about the Asiyah Women's Shelter. Mohammed, for our viewers who are listening, who are going through these type of issues, how can they reach out to you guys again?
Absolutely. They could go on Facebook and type in the Asiyah Women's Center and reach out through us through messaging and email. And for sure,
Is there like a phone number?
A phone number for now, no.
Okay.
Because we're still like a small operation.
Okay.
But definitely, everything is social media these days. But we would definitely respond very quick to any sister that either needs a safe place or that wants to volunteer. And it doesn't have to be sometimes domestic violence. That's another issue. Because even though we focus on domestic violence victims, there are sisters out there who literally are being evicted or just got evicted. Maybe they're living in a different shelter or even homeless. They need a place to stay. We definitely help those sisters as well.
Awesome. You guys are doing amazing things. I mean, alhamdulillah, thank God for you for doing these wonderful things.
It's a person.
Of course, 100%. Thank God for Muslims giving
100%.
back.
Alhamdulillah.
So, now,
Yeah.
where did the name come from?
Muslims giving
No,
back?
Asiyah woman.
Oh, Asiyah, excellent question.
That's I want to know.
Yeah. So
Because my wife's name is Asia.
yeah,
Which is
close
Asiyah.
enough,
So
right?
exactly,
Just missing
so-
the Y, right? So we thought about like what we're gonna call this. Are we gonna just call it a Muslim women's shelter or whatever? And plus, the word shelter has like a negative connotation. So we're like, okay, let's try to call it something interesting, like a women's center, right? Where it's kind of a place to hang out, have fun,
Yeah.
to relax. But we said let's give it like a good meaning. And the sister, mashallah, Danya, she's the one that's running it now. She came up with the name of Asiyah because the story of Asiyah, even actually in the Bible as well, it's kind of similar. Same for the Quran. She was basically the wife of the Pharaoh. wife of Pharaoh, and she was literally a domestic violence victim. She was tortured to death just for believing that they're in God. So we try to get, it's kind of a reminder for our community, because when they start saying domestic violence, that doesn't exist. I'm like, excuse me, like Allah reminded us in the Quran through her story that stuff like this does exist. And the thing about Asiyah, she had no help back then.
Yep.
Right? She was suffering and she was tortured literally till death. And we have the same women who are alive today. How many, actually just recently, I think 2 weeks ago, it happened in Fresh Meadows.
Yeah.
A mother
That's
was,
what I'm talking about. That's very dear to me right now.
she was like stabbed. Her husband like literally stabbed her.
Yeah, and
Slashed the daughter and everything. And this is what happened. But that didn't happen overnight. That's what people
No,
understand.
that's what
Domestic
people-
violence just,
No, of
just wake
course.
up one day, let me.
It happens through time and process.
But these women, they know they have no place to go. Where are they going to go? You know, they're just going to leave? How? They have no job, no job security, no income, right? So of course they're going to say, let me just stay here, be patient, and hopefully this guy would change. That's the only thing. But now we're like, no, we have to start creating different safe spaces like this all over, not just Brooklyn, Long Island, Queens, Bronx, and
Everywhere.
other states that sisters know that maybe, because I'm sure that mother, you know, if it's very sad, but if she knew she had a safe space and go away for a night or two, save her life. Literally, you could
Absolutely.
be saving people's life.
Absolutely.
That's what people need to understand. That domestic violence is not like this verbal, back and forth, or, no, it could turn deadly. And look, it happened in our community just recently, and it did.
And it did. I mean, it's very sad. I mean, especially for that one, it's very sad because there's a lot of little kids involved.
Exactly. And now, the father's in jail. He's gone. He's done for his life. Now they have no mother. And now, 3 kids are getting affected for the rest of their life. That they have to see their mother.
That brings me to my other question. Don't you think there should be something just for men where, if a woman complains about, hey, my husband's doing this to me, right? There should be something set up where men can teach women that, hey, this is not right.
Well, this is our, to be blunt, and I'm a very straight, blunt person, because I feel like the only way to change our community is to be real with ourselves and identify our problems. Problem in our community is when a woman, and I've seen it in my own eyes, goes to an imam or a sheikh in the community and complains, my husband is beating me up, he's doing this, he's doing that, it's always 99% the same answer to that woman. Sister, be patient.
That's horrible.
And I'm like, well, how are you going to say be patient? She's not coming into, oh, my husband only gives me $100 a week instead of 50. She's not saying that. She's saying her husband is physically mentally, verbally abusing her. You're going to tell her to be patient and go back? No. You're not even going to address it with the guy himself? At least tell her, be patient, but we're going to go to him right now and talk to him and warn him and tell him we know about this. If she comes back again, you're in trouble. We're going to report you. Nothing. Complete silence. So it's like we're enabling these people to really feel like they're gods in a way. No one could touch me.
Horrible.
Yeah. So that's why these women are like, well, I'm going to go to the mosque to talk about it. She knows, oh, my husband knows the imam or the sheikh or the scholar. He's part of the board. He's part of the committee. They're not going to do anything. They're not going to believe me. They're going to blame me. She's going to be like, forget it. Just stay silent. And the guy's going to continue doing what he does.
That's horrible. And that for sure needs to change in our community. If you're an imam or somebody with leadership powers in the community, right? And a woman comes to you saying about the husband, I mean, don't give the same answer he just gave us. That's horrible. We need to ensure that, we hold these men accountable because, I mean, this woman just passed away.
Yeah.
I mean, that's horrible. I mean, she left her kids alone. I mean, like her kids are alive.
And our community have a role. We need to start addressing this issue in Friday prayers and khutbah, putting people on the spot and telling the woman that anyone in our community is facing domestic violence. Please. Because if other men starts hearing this, like, like, oh man, the imam now is speaking about this, they're going to get a little scared. We have to show some sort of protection for them.
Absolutely.
But if we stay silent and just...
There are mothers. At the end of the day, our religion teaches us that women have a very high ranking in our religion, and especially mothers and daughters, this should never be happening, especially our older women.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Mohammed, it's been a pleasure speaking to you right now.
Thank you, Brother Kevin. Thank you for having us here.
Honestly, a pleasure. This is a very, hot topic in our community. This had to.
I hope we continue addressing it.
We're going to do interviews with you because I think it's to be addressed.
Absolutely.
And I'm actually very passionate about this because it doesn't happen anymore. This shouldn't happen in our community at all.
One is enough.
One is enough. No, one. Absolutely not.
100%.
That shouldn't even have happened.
Well said.
You guys have been on Shakil and Company on America Islamic Radio. Thank you, our viewers, for watching this. Thank you, Muhammad, for coming from
Thank
the
you for
Asiyah
having
Women's
me.
Shelter and Muslim Giving Back.
Yes, sir.
How can somebody donate to
They could go if you go to muslimback.nyc.
Okay.
You could donate to the Asiyah Center there
Okay.
as well, inshallah, in our organization, muslimsgivingback.nyc, and also on Facebook we have numerous projects
MashaAllah.
as well that we do.
Thank you so much for joining
You
us,
got it,
Muhammad.
brother Kevin. Thanks a lot, brother.
As-salamu alaykum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Thank you guys. Have a great, wonderful day.